Hello, fourth graders. I hope you have your solar and lunar worksheet ready. But before we go over that, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some of the important points on your review sheet so that you can do well on your universe test that's coming up. First thing I wanted to talk about was gravity. Gravity is the force that is responsible for holding the galaxies together. Gravity isn't just on this earth, but it's also in space. God uses gravity to hold the stars where He wants them to be, the planets, and the galaxies. So I wanted to remind you of that. Also, I wanted to go over the different types of telescopes. We have a refracting telescope, which is made of lenses, and it uses lenses to bring the object into focus. And then there's the reflecting telescope, which uses mirrors to bring objects into focus. I also wanted to mention that a light year is a measurement of distance. You know how fast light travels, so you can imagine how far it must travel in a year. And so scientists, in order to measure very vast distances in space, decided to use that as a measurement. And they decided that a distance they would measure would be from one object to another. How far would it travel? Would light travel in 1 year to reach this other object? And that would tell you how far away it was. So light years are a measurement of distance. Another measurement is an AU, which is an astronomical unit. And that is simply the distance between the Earth and the Sun. And that is also a measurement that is used for measuring objects in space. Also, we remember that rotation and revolution are different. When the Earth rotates, it's rotating on its axis. Day and night, it rotates on its axis, it spins around. But revolution is when it rotates on its axis, but it also revolves around the sun. And so now I'm going to switch over to our worksheet, but before we do the eclipses, I just want to talk about a few other points on the worksheet. So let's move over to the worksheet now. Before we get to our eclipses worksheet, I just wanted to go over a couple of things with you. And one is the different galaxies. There are three kinds of shapes of galaxies: the spiral, and the spiral is sort of like this. It's like a spiral. And actually, our galaxy, the Milky Way, is a spiral galaxy. The other kind of galaxy shape is an elliptical. And that's shaped more like this. Some are shaped like this. This is called elliptical. And then the other kind of shape that we are learning about is the irregular. And that doesn't have any particular shape at all, just kind of all over the place, not any particular shape. So those are the three main kinds of galaxy shapes. And then I wanted to review with you the importance of knowing the order of the structures of the universe. We start with stars. Lots of stars make up a galaxy. Lots of galaxies make up a cluster. Lots of clusters make up a supercluster. And lots of superclusters make up the universe. Okay, can I spell that? Yep, universe, that's a V. All right, so I just wanted to go over those with you before we do our worksheet page on the eclipses. So we have two kinds of eclipses. We have a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. What's interesting, since you have studied Latin, is we know luna means moon. That'll help you remember that one. And in the word solar in Latin is solaris, which means of the sun. So both of these words actually come from the Latin. And basically, an eclipse is simply a shadow. And it tells us up above in the top of this that an eclipse is when the moon and the earth are in proper alignment. Either the moon can cast a shadow on the earth, or the earth can cast a shadow on the moon. So we're going to draw the two kinds of eclipses. Let's look first at the solar eclipse, and I would like you to do this right at the top of your paper there, solar eclipse, because I want you to know the difference between the two. A solar eclipse is when the moon, let's say this is our moon, it's rotating around, and at one point it gets right directly between the earth and the sun. And when that happens, that sunlight is being blocked by the moon, and it leaves a little shadow. It's a shadow on the earth. Somewhere on the earth it's going to be dark where it should be sunny. And that's called a solar eclipse. And down below here, let's write the moon blocks the sun. I'm going to just say sunshine in order to save space. So that's a solar eclipse. Now down below, we're going to draw a lunar. Right, lunar eclipse. Now this is when the earth comes between the moon. Our moon's going to be over here, so draw your moon over here. The earth comes between the moon and the sun. And you know the moon doesn't have its own light, but it reflects the light of the sun. But when the earth gets in the way there, it casts a shadow on the earth. Actually, it'll be a little broader shadow than the other way. And the earth, it will be, instead of being a full moon, it will become dark. And that's when we have a lunar eclipse. The moonlight is blocked. So we could write down here, I'm going to raise it up a little bit, the earth blocks the sun's reflection, because that's really what it is. It's the reflection from the sun on the earth. So there we have the differences between a solar eclipse, where the moon is in between the earth and the sun, and we have a lunar eclipse where the earth is between the sun and the moon. So I hope that was helpful to you, and be sure you study your review sheet. Okay, thank you.